Good evening, everybody. How are you doing? Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. If you can see me. Hello, I can see Pauline Moy. I can see Faxify. La Faxify. Amazing. You're welcome. Thank you, Anne. Karaoke. You can hear me and you can see me. Thank you very much. We are so delighted to have you. We are so excited to have you, myself and Coach Ruth. Thank you, Priscilla. Thank you, Eunice. We can all see you and we appreciate you. Also, tell us if it's your first time. Did you attend our first webinar? Or this is your first? Is this your second or first? Because we had another webinar some few weeks ago. So let us know if this is your second webinar or it's your first, so that we know who is in the room. Who is in the room? Oh, Priscilla says it's my first. Also, you didn't attend the first one. Okay. There's something good for you, Priscilla. We have a large cake, so everybody will get a piece of their cake today, okay? Also Ruth says it's your first. Okay, good. First, Faxify says it's second. Rehab first. Priscilla, yeah, you didn't. It's my first. Okay, I'm seeing lots of first. Interesting. Hey, Suzanne Epura. Good to see you. Good to have you. Please also share the link with your friends. Those WhatsApp group where you are. Where you share a common group with parents. Maybe where your daughter goes for school. Please share the link. Let's learn together. And I always tell parents, your daughter is not an island. And if you're here and you're getting empowered, and in return your daughter is empowered, and then she has friends who don't have a clue of of this world, on healing, on trauma, on good relationship, then it becomes a little bit strenuous. So as you attending these webinars, finding these good spaces where you can learn, please tag your other parents around. Tag, even the programs that are around you. Share with other parents, so that your daughter will not be the only one who is empowered, or also yourself will not be the only person who will be empowered, so that the lady friends that you have, the men friends that you have, can also be empowered together. Okay. So I'm saying, yeah, I think I've seen like 3 of you who are saying it's your second time, but it's fine. Without much ado, karibuni sana. We are so excited to have you today. We are so delighted, and we want you to have an amazing time. Please feel free to ask us questions. Feel free to engage us on the chat box. We'll be looking at them. Ask us questions, and we are delighted, or we'll be very eager to answer the questions. Okay. So for the people that are new here, my name is Brenda Karemi. I am a coach and a mentor, and also a founder of Smart Girl Academy. I empower girls to thrive and to take charge of their lives. I am a lover of girls. I want girls to succeed, and I cheer them up, and I share skills. I teach them skills. I share knowledge with them because I want them to succeed. I am the person to go to if you really, really want your daughter to succeed and to overcome the day-to-day challenges of adolescence, and you want to give her the agency and the power to take charge of her life. I've done this for 8 years, having reached out to over 10,000 girls in Kenya, both virtually and also physical classes. I work with churches, I work with schools, I work with non-government organizations, and so I have a wide scope of working with girls and their caregivers, right? And the reason as to why we are here today, it's something that is very pertinent to me. I started doing mentorship and coaching for girls. The way I'm just saying, I want them to succeed, communicate effectively, have a good relationship with your parents, respect your parents. If something is hurting you, tell your parents. If someone is violating your boundaries, tell your parents, communicate to your parents, until it got to a point when Now I realized actually where I'm sending girls to, where I'm telling them go and confide with your parents, go and tell your parents, go and share with your parents. Actually, they started telling me, no, I can't share with my parents, I can't share with my mom. This one I cannot tell my mom. This one I can't tell my dad. And please make sure my dad does not know or my mom does not know. And so I was a little bit helpless in that now I am empowering these girls, but where they are, where they're spending the most of their time, they're not feeling safe. All right. And so I started, trying to understand what is happening in this space. Why are girls not willing to share with their caregivers, to share with their parents, to open up, and now I started having programs, programs for parents. I just want, come, let's reason together, let's talk together what is happening. And then I realized there's a gap. All right. So girls are expecting their parents to be ABCD, yet parents are expecting girls to be ABCD. And I also realized that some parents have got to a point where they're kind of giving up with their children. And not necessarily giving up in a bad way, but they are feeling helpless, like they don't know what to do. Their children are not listening to them. Their children are not obedient. They are having strained relationship. And because of that, every party, the girl and the parents are both feeling, we are giving up on each other. So let everybody fight for their own life. I pay school fees, I'll give you food, I'll do everything, you sort yourself. And the girl will be like, okay, you're my mom, I will obey you, that's it. And so there's no relationship. It is not supposed to be like that. And it is not so difficult. All right. But then when I started engaging with parents and asking them difficult questions and, questions that are not on the surface. For example, I would ask a parent, why would you shout at your daughter when she went to hang out with friends in the estate? And the parent would talk and talk and talk, but the underlying is that this dad is afraid that the girl will get pregnant. That's the underlying issue. So actually going outside is not the problem. All right. But the fear that she will engage in activity that she doesn't like and then she gets pregnant. Okay. Now you are having a strained relationship at home. And I'm asking the parent, mostly the mothers, because they're the ones who open up so easily. So why are you having a strained relationship? This girl does not respect me. She can't listen to me. She's ever on her phone. She's ever, playing with a laptop. She doesn't understand that sometimes I come home so tired, and sometimes I might be even a shout at them and they don't understand. Okay, so that's the issue. You are actually coming with frustrations from work, stress from work, and because of that, of course, you're tired, so you don't want any other stress, and so because of that, the girl is withdrawing. All right. But also you realize you are becoming, you are parenting in a particular way because that is what you lacked or that is what you got. Now, when you are a child, and that's what that means, it basically means you are becoming as a parent unhealthy for your daughter, for your child. Now, we are not here to tell you now this is the right way to parent, this is the wrong way to parent. Absolutely no. Every family is unique, and we respect that, and we respect where you are with your daughter. We appreciate, we acknowledge that, and we're here to tell you your relationship with your daughter can actually be better. All right. And just the way your daughter trusts me, because I have, a series of questions that girls ask me. And I always tell parents, whenever you give me your daughters, be sure I'll get to know one or two things about your family. Why? Because they trust me. That it's not that I'm a superman. I'm not a superhuman being. It's because first, before I look at these girls or these children as children, first they are human beings. To mean they have fears. To mean they get tired, they get annoyed, they feel frustrated. They are human beings. Just the way sometimes you feel frustrated by a deal that has gone sour in the market, or by your boss, you get so frustrated, and sometimes you call your best friend, or even some others decide to go and pray or sleep. It's the same thing with your daughter. So sometimes your daughter will be in that space where she doesn't want to be disturbed, she doesn't want talk to anybody, and you as a parent, you're looking at her as a child. You don't want to know what's going on in her life. And so you're at home, hey, Joy, how are you? How was your day? And she just wants her space. And because of that, she chills, and then you think she's becoming disobedient. So I look at your girls as people, human beings. And that is why we are having this conversation today. To tell you, sometimes it is not that serious, not in a bad way. But sometimes, can we look at ourselves as parents? Can we now try to, to ask ourselves difficult questions? Why am I doing what I am doing? And there is a book I usually recommend that every parent should read. It's called What Happened to You. All right, What Happened to You? It's written by Dr. Bruce and Oprah Winfrey, about the issues that affect children from as young, as early as 3 years, as early as 2 years. Something can affect your child when she's 2 years, and it starts to manifest when she's a teenager. So telling her respect me, obey me does not make sense, because whatever is affecting her is not for now. It's something that happened long time ago. And that is why today we are having Coach Ruth, who is a therapist, and she'll share a story with us. And I called and I told her, you know what, Ruth? No, please, let's talk to this parent about 1, 2, 3 things, about the things that are happening in their home states, in their home, so that parent, you'll not feel like you are a bad parent. You'll not feel like you are inadequate. You'll not feel like you are not able to handle your children anymore. Sometimes you also need help, because we have gone through a lot as caregivers. We have different experiences, and sometimes we offload our experiences to our children without knowing, without understanding. All right. And so that is why we are having Coach Ruth, so that she helps us break down what really happens in all this confusion. Because for me, parents, for sure, I don't miss a call a day from a parent who is telling me she's frustrated about her daughter. At least one call a day, or a WhatsApp message, or a Facebook inbox, that she's feeling helpless, or she's feeling like the path that the daughter is taking is not right, and she doesn't know what to do. And what we are here we are here for today is just to empower you, so that this is how I need to support my daughter. Or parents, without fear of contradiction, sometimes our children can be toxic. I'm not afraid of saying that, but sometimes our children can be toxic. And they can be toxic not because you brought them wrongly, but because of the environment, because of where they are. You are not the only influence. Remember, they go to church. Remember, they're in the community, in the estate. Remember, they are in school. They have friends they chat with. So you're not the only influence. Okay. And so if a girl is exposed to other environment where she feels my home is not enough, then she'll come with that, and she'll start pressuring you. Mom, I need an iPhone. Mom, I need to go to this school. Mom, I need this kind of Air Force. I need this kind of shoe. I need this kind of hairstyle. Yet you're not able. That is being a little bit toxic. So as a parent, you also need to be in a place where you are sober, so that you think and you reason. And okay, this is Joy being toxic. And I want to stand at a distance and support her. But I will not, when she's throwing tantrums, including 5, 6, 7 years old, when they are throwing tantrums, it can really annoy us. It can get into our nerves. Then parents, what you say, can you stand in a position, in a place where you are now an independent, sober, you are the sober one in this relationship, okay? Because it is at that point you will be able to take care of your mental health. It is at that point you'll be able to take care of your child as well. All right, so I want to invite Coach Ruth, because she'll help us now break all those down, what really happened. And I want you to be very, very attentive, parent, because our goal is just to empower you as a person, so that you can take power and you can have the ability to guide your daughter. So I want to invite Coach Ruth, so that she takes it up, to help us understand the science behind that. Again, feel free to ask your questions, put your comments on the chat box. We'll be able to address them by the end of this session. Karibu sana, Coach Ruth.
Thank you so much, Brenda, for this wonderful opportunity. I'm happy that we're getting to do this again, and we have people among us who are watching us for the first time. Brenda has welcomed us, and I want to take this opportunity to also welcome you very, very warmly to this session. For you to be a parent that is able to raise resilient children and resilient daughters, resilient sons, because I've seen someone asking about what about the boy child. And I want to reassure them that the principles that we learn here will cut across both genders. So if you have children, mixed children, you have boys and you have girls, it's still okay. Brenda focuses on girls. That's why she talks so much about girls, which is fine. But if you have children across both genders, this still works for you. So I was saying, for you to be able to raise resilient children, one, the core thing that you need to have is what we call emotional awareness and emotional intelligence. Without that, then you feel so challenged and so triggered, and you'll end up being the kind of a parent that maybe your mother was, or who your father was, the parent that you swore you would never become, may what you find yourself becoming now. So emotional intelligence, emotional awareness is very, very key for you to be able to raise resilient children, to be able to raise resilient daughters, because emotional intelligence and emotional awareness also helps you to set boundaries between you and your children. Like when Brenda is saying, yes, sometimes children can be very toxic, your daughter can be toxic. Without emotional awareness, without emotional intelligence, you're likely going to get yourself lost in a fight that you shouldn't even be participating with or participating in as a parent. So one of the reasons as to why we have decided to do this with Brenda is because we also want you to be able to be emotionally intelligent so that you can raise those resilient sons and resilient daughters that you are having at home. And the other principle when you're raising children, another basic principle that I love to talk about is that as you're raising your daughters, please know that they are not objects. Children are not things. They are not objects. They are not items. They are humans. And their humanity, and research has proven this, is that their humanity starts right from the womb. So if you're having a 1-month-old baby, that's a human. They may not be as developed as you are, but you need to start looking at them as humans. And whatever happens in their space, in their home, will shape their identity. It will shape how they show up in life. It will shape how they show up in the world, the kind of relationships they're going to have with others, with themselves, with you, with their siblings and everyone else. So when you're raising kids, remember they are not objects. They are not things. They are humans. They have emotions. The capacity and emotional ability to express themselves emotionally may be underdeveloped. It may not be as developed as yours, but they still have emotions. They have expressions that they would love to put across. So when they are putting those expressions across, remember that they are human. They are not items. They are not objects. Unfortunately, many of us were raised as objects. Children want to be seen and not to be heard. And that is where your own trauma healing journey, your journey of emotional intelligence and emotional awareness is very, very key, because it will help you to be able to start viewing your children as human and not as things. So for those who are here for the first time, my name is Coach Ruth Waithera. I am the founder and CEO of the Soul Clinic. At the Soul Clinic, we fix your pain, we help you feel good and live a whole life, because my main purpose and vision in life is to see as many people living authentic lives as possible. And why I'm here is because I know the experiences we go through in life right from the womb affect how we show up, affect our ability to be authentic, affect our abilities even to live in purpose and to parent effectively. So our discussion tonight will revolve around trauma healing. And why we are doing it is because we want you to be an effective parent. We want you to be able to raise resilient children. We want you to be able to raise healthy children who are living in purpose and they're stepping out and they're influencing their generations. Now, by the end of this session tonight, these are the things that I'm hoping you will take away. One is that you'll gain insight into what trauma is and a few types of trauma which I felt were applicable for us as parents. Now, I also want you to understand how your unresolved trauma affects your parenting. And then can you get a few strategies that will help you create a safe, nurturing space for your child. So I also want to ask you a few questions. For example, do you find yourself easily triggered by your daughter's behavior? She'll do things, you're triggered. Overly triggered. Sometimes you know you are being overly triggered, but you don't know what to do about it. Brenda has discussed with us here. Many of us have difficulties connecting with our daughters, with our children. Do you always feel like there's a wall between you and your daughter? These constant power struggles that happen between us and them. You're in the right space. And just know that you're not alone. But one key thing that you need to understand is that most of these struggles, especially if the struggle is ongoing, it is consistent, it doesn't seem to have a solution, you don't know what to do about it, it could be resulting from unresolved trauma. And this unresolved trauma could be trauma from you as a parent, or trauma that the child has gone through up until the stage they are at, trauma that has not been processed, trauma that has not been resolved. And who is this person talking to you about trauma? I'm a trauma healing expert. I focus a lot on healing the inner child because within the inner child is where most of these unprocessed life emotions lie. And I'm very passionate to help individuals and families heal because I know that when individuals heal, when parents heal, our children will be healthy, we'll be raising healthy generations, and the future is bright. And some of the things that we call generational and intergenerational traumas, you could be the cycle breaker, the parent that is here, so that the things that you have seen passed over or passed down through generations in your family, can you become the cycle breaker? So my mission is to break the cycle of unresolved trauma for better parenting and for healthier relationships. And the beautiful thing is, once you start breaking these cycles, healing your own traumas, addressing your own unprocessed issues, pains and wounds, it not only benefits your relationship with your children, with your daughters, it will also benefit your relationships with your partner, with your spouse, with your siblings, your relationships with money, your career progression, your business progression. Because at the inner child, where many of those unprocessed and unresolved issues lie, is where your identity also lies. And if your identity and view of self is warped, I like to call it warped, or it's not accurate, then you will not be able to show up as the parent that you want to show up as. You won't be able to show up at work the way you want to show up. You won't be able to show up as the partner that you would really desire to show up as. So trauma healing is critical, not just for parenting, but also for you to be able to show up the way you'd want to show up in the other spaces. Career, finances, relationships, name it. How did I come to do the things that I do? Or to focus on trauma healing? It's because I struggled with my relationships, including my relationships with my own children. I'm a parent. And until I faced my own trauma and realized how my unresolved past, my unprocessed pain impacted how I showed up in relationships, in careers, how I showed up as a parent, until I was able to realize how that showed up, then I seemed to have these things that happen in the background that I'm not aware of, but the outcomes are not nice. I used to be the kind of a parent that gets easily triggered. You get easily triggered. You walk into a supermarket with a child and the child is asking for something. It triggers you so hard that you may actually find yourself screaming and shouting at the child right there at the supermarket. Or a child expresses themselves and you feel so offended. You actually feel belittled. Like you need to remind them you are the parent and they are the child and you are the bigger one and they are tiny and small. And they ought not to make such conversations with you. Those could be triggers. Triggers that have got little, very little to do with the child, but everything to do with what is happening in your inner world, out of your own unresolved trauma and unresolved issues, because unresolved traumas inform your identity. So if you have a shaky identity as a parent, if you have a shaky identity as a person, then believe you me, raising children will trigger you proper. And the more your children trigger you, the more you trigger them, the more you become unsafe for them, because they don't want to be approached by the harshness and the roughness that sometimes you approach them with, which has got little and sometimes even nothing to do with them, but everything to do with you and what you are going through, what you're struggling with on a day-to-day basis, or past issues that you have not addressed and you haven't healed. So after realizing how my past was affecting me, I decided it's time for me to heal. Because I realized as long as I'm a parent, issues will always keep coming up. We don't have perfect children. Your children are not perfect. So if you're not emotionally aware, you are an imperfect parent, raising imperfect children, imperfect daughters, they will trigger you, you will trigger them. Unfortunately, you are the adult. You're the one who's supposed to model how healthy relationships, healthy anger management, healthy conversations. You're the one who's supposed to model that for them. So if your own self, you haven't dealt with those issues, they're not emotionally aware, you're not emotionally intelligent, then how do you model that? You won't. So it's very important that you heal from your past issues, from your past traumas, the issues that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, so that you don't project unnecessarily to your children. And so that you're also able to become a safe space. Because sometimes children could also be going through very traumatic experiences out there. Your daughter could be going through a lot, and she's looking for a safe space. But then you are not that safe space. So then who becomes the safe space? Wherever she will feel accepted, wherever she will feel seen and heard, wherever she will feel validated is where she will lean towards. That place may not necessarily do her a lot of good, but because they are accepting, they are loving. That is where she's likely going to lean to and to lean towards. So why we are teaching you, or why we are taking you through what we are taking you through, is because we also want your child to be able to find you as a safe space. So that if there is a struggle that requires your intervention, then you are their first point. You're like their rescue point. They can always come to you and discuss that with you. And sometimes remember, children may not necessarily be looking for solutions from you, because you may also not have solutions to some of the problems that they are going through. But the fact that you can open yourself up, listen, without judgment, without invalidation, listen. You may not understand many of the issues that the youth are going through today. They are a whole different generation from you. Some of their issues could actually just be way above you. But sometimes, even when those issues are presented to us, are we able to listen without judgment, without invalidating, without the need to control? Because some of us really want to control and to resolve issues, but even when you have no idea what you're doing. So that is why this trauma healing class is very important for you. Please put your questions in the chat as we proceed. We will look at them later on after this session. And whatever things you are learning, continue putting them in the chat. We will look at them as we progress. So what is this trauma that we are talking about? Trauma is what happens within you as a result of what is happening outside of you. So as a parent, what are some of the traumatic experiences that happened to you that left you in pain, in fear, disconnected from your true self, disconnected from others, that you haven't been able to resolve? The issues that threaten your very existence, the issues that threaten your ability to be a good parent, what are those things? How do they make you feel on the inside? Because it is what is happening within you that we refer to as trauma. So people can go through similar experiences. And that's why it's never a good idea to measure yourself against others, even against your siblings. Some of us were raised in families and your siblings seem to be doing okay, but you're struggling. And then you invalidate yourself by saying, how come I'm the only one struggling and we were raised 10 of us? It's because what could have happened within you as a result of what was happening in your family of origin could have affected you very differently from how it affected your sister. Trauma also happens on a spectrum. There are some people that are more resilient than others. Their coping skills could be higher. So you may go through similar experiences with someone, but you are highly affected. You are highly rating on the trauma spectrum, but them not too much. So your trauma could be originating from big events, things that happened to you as a child, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, poverty. Poverty can be very traumatic. If you are raised in a family that was extremely poor, you are the talk of wherever estate or whatever village you grew up in. Dealing with parents that were addicts. You grew up in the home where the local brew is where people used is where it used to be made, and people would come to your homes, and in the process, you saw your mother drunk, your father was always in the ditch. Now, those can be very traumatic events and very traumatic experiences. You are bullied in your neighborhood by your teachers, by your peers. So if you haven't resolved how these issues affected your self-worth and self-identity, because what they do, and we look at trauma and identity, it affects how you view yourself. So those experiences really leave an imprint in your subconscious mind. And whether you want to believe it or not, whether you want to accept it or not, the subconscious mind makes 90% of your decisions. It influences how you view yourself and how you view the world around you. It influences how you parent. And parenting can be tricky if you have unresolved trauma, because children highly depend on you, especially up to a certain age. They are looking up to you for everything. The only thing they're not looking up to you is for breathing. Air is given, freely by God. But they are looking up to you for each and everything. So if you are not stable, if your identity of self is warped, if the way you view yourself is not accurate, is not supportive of you, is not supportive of your role as the parent, then parenting becomes such a challenge. You don't know what to do with those humans. You don't know what to do with your daughters. You don't know what to do with your sons. And as long as the imprint you carry in your subconscious mind is warped, and remember I've used the word warped because it means it's not accurate. It will give you an inaccurate perception of self. It becomes impossible for you, number one, to embrace the greatness within you. And as long as you're not embracing the greatness within you, you can't live an authentic life. You cannot be the parent that raises resilient children. You will not become that. You cannot be the parent that is a safe space for your kids. So trauma healing is key, and it is core. Core beliefs, and one of my deepest core beliefs is that every human being is worthy. Everyone. Why? I'm a Christian. I believe we were created in the image and likeness of God. That is for me. God is our source. So whether you look like the kitty, you see the kitty in that image there. I hope you can see that image very well. So you may be looking like the kitty on the outside, but within you, you are a lion. You have greatness. Why? Because you are created as a human being of worth. If you are not living authentically, connected to self, connected to your worthiness, then you can't view yourself as this image. I'll show you how you view yourself. So this is how people who are emotionally aware, who are healthy beings, who are able to process their trauma, they have been able to process their painful experiences, they have been able to process their adverse life experiences. They're not perfect, because there are no perfect human beings walking the face of the earth. They're not perfect, but they are highly emotionally intelligent. This is how they view themselves. This is what unhealed trauma does to you. So if you have unresolved trauma, unresolved issues, unresolved pains, this is how it affects your image. You could be a lion, because remember, I've told you, every human being has worth. Their gifts, talents, beautiful things that are deposited within you, that help you navigate life, that will help you parent the way you would want to parent. You have them. But unhealed, unresolved trauma hinders your ability to connect with them. So you could be a lion, but every time you look at yourself in the mirror, you see a cat. Greatness lies within you. Your ability to be a safe space for your children. Your ability to parent the way you want. Your ability to show up in the relationships you are in the way you want is hindered by your unresolved trauma, unresolved pain, unresolved issues, the corners of your soul where you don't want to go back to, the issues you don't want to look into, the matters you know you're supposed to be processing and you're not processing. This is how you start to view yourself. Now, this is also what will happen to your daughters. Allow me to go behind just a little bit. Your daughter may look like this kitty, this kitten, but she's a lioness on the inside. But if she is going through traumatic experiences, she has an unsafe parent, and parenting is key in how a child shows up in life, because you are the first mirror to that child of how the world is. So if you are unsafe, the child will show up in life knowing that the world is unsafe, people cannot be trusted, I cannot be myself, I need to put my guards up, I need to protect myself. And as long as a child is showing up that way, they'll never be authentic, they'll never live big, they'll never be truly happy. If a child is also going through traumatic experiences, just know it hinders their ability to get in touch with their self-worth. So you may be having a child that has a lot of potential and you know it, but they're not able to get to it. Why? Their unresolved trauma is standing in the way of them to truly connect. Because for someone to truly live in purpose, every aspect of their lives needs to be connected. They need to be connected to the deepest parts of their soul so that they are able to show up authentic. So this is what unresolved trauma does for them too. And that is why it is very important to create safe spaces for your daughters at home so that she's able to show up as the first image. Because as long as she's viewing herself as the second image, she will never be able to show up boldly and authentically. You will push her, mtakosana, but she will never be able to really connect with her true brilliance because there's so much trauma. There's so much disconnection that is happening because she's in pain. The parenting has caused her pain. The family of origin has caused her pain. The spaces maybe she's interacting with in school, teachers, her peers, they are bullying her, they are causing her pain. So she'll never be able to show up boldly and authentically. And that is where we have said, remember, we said, you need to be a safe space for her. So that when the world harasses her, when out there is very rough and tough, she has a home to come back to. We all long to come back home. As grown women and men here, I'm assuming we also have fathers here. We long to come back home, where there is peace, where there is rest, where we are accepted, we are loved. We want to have relationships that are non-judgmental. Someone you can open up to, someone you can speak up to. That is what your daughter is longing for too. So deal with your own unhealed traumas, the things that get triggered the moment she raises a difficult behavior, the moment she raises a difficult conversation, you get so triggered, you are not able to have that conversation with her. And the antidote for trauma, the only cure for trauma is safe, healthy, connected relationships. It's not medication. It is safe, healthy, connected relationships. So can you be that safe, connected relationship for your child? Let's look at several types of trauma that I found were important for this class. And please, as we proceed, if you have a question, I'm seeing people are putting comments, following. Someone is saying they were raised in a home where children are not allowed to ask questions. If you try, you are shut down and sometimes beaten for it, labeled as disrespect. To date, I struggle bringing out my perspective. Yes, I always tell them that the muscle, to simplify that whole concept, and the muscle that is supposed to be speaking up and standing up for you was never exercised. So it is so weak. People will tell you, every time I try to speak up for myself, I choke. It's not something you practice because it was not allowed. So you learned to swallow your opinion, swallow it. So even when you grow up, you're not able to speak up for yourself. So what happens is that you take in pressure, then you lipuka. So your children will do things. You're not able to sit down and have healthy conversations with them. Healthy, and I mean healthy, where you're not judging them, you're not invalidating them. Then one day out of nowhere, you just boom. So can you address those issues that came up as a result of the home and the family you were raised in, so that you are able to be a safe space? Because being a safe space does not always mean that you will agree with your children. We are not telling you that everything your children want, you say yes. No, that's not what we are saying. But we are saying that even when there are difficult conversations to be held, you are able to sit there and hold the conversation as an adult, leading and guiding your children wherever necessary. So effective parenting is not just about saying yes. It's also about your ability to set boundaries with your children. So let's look at the types of trauma. I have put 3 here for the sake of this class. We have what we call preconscious trauma. These are the things that are happening to a child even before birth. And a safe home, safe relationships for mothers are very critical here, because your emotional state will impact the child's nervous system in the womb. It sets the foundation. And this is something that has been done, research has been done, and it is proven. There's something we call preconscious trauma. So that relationship sets the foundation for future relationships, identity, and how your children will perceive the world. So if you have a lot of unresolved conflict within you when you're pregnant, there's so much that is happening in your space. It affects the child you're carrying in the womb as well. And it starts to make them feel, if your nervous system is dysregulated, it's simply telling the child that the world out here is so unsafe. Start preparing your own nervous system, because out here it is not safe. So a safe environment during pregnancy will cushion the unborn from the central nervous dysregulation that comes with stress, anxiety, and unprocessed pain passed from the mother to the unborn. When I talk about preconscious trauma, I love to talk about myself. When I was doing my own trauma healing work, I realized that my mother was very anxious during my pregnancy and immediately after birth. And guess what? All through my life, I have dealt with an unregulated, dysregulated central nervous system. I am a highly anxious person. It's one of those things that I'm very deliberate about managing on a day-to-day basis. Because right from the womb, I knew I was unwanted. I knew the people around me were not really accepting of my mother in her state. So that dysregulation somehow got passed to me. It was not deliberate. She didn't mean to harass me. She didn't mean to stress me. But the environment around her was stressful to her. She was a young mom, very young, barely out of her teens. So it's not like she thought that she said, let me pump cortisol into this child that I'm carrying so that they can know. No. But just the things that were happening in her environment at that moment made her to be highly dysregulated. So that preconscious trauma, you need to be very careful. You need to be very aware. You need to be very deliberate about the environment in which you're raising your kids, because parenting starts right from the day you realize you're pregnant. From the day you conceive that child, you may not even have realized it. That's when parenting starts. And that's when the child is in the womb. You'll be given supplements, eat well, rest well. Just make sure that the environment is safe, because whatever happens to you happens to the baby that you are carrying. Second kind of trauma that I want to look at is developmental trauma and identity. Now, this I will, for the purpose of this class, let's look at it as simply the post-conscious stage after 2 years, 18 months to 2 years. So those experiences will shape a child's self-worth. If you were raised in a home where there was emotional neglect, there were difficult interactions between your parents, abuse, your mother is being beaten, your mother is beating everybody. You don't know when you did wrong and when, you don't know what is right, you don't know what is wrong, because whether you do what is right or what is wrong, there will be a beating, kunakuwa na kelele. Now, those are very difficult interactions with your parents, with your siblings. You harass each other, you fight each other, you are parentified, you are 6 years and you're taking care of 3 more kids behind you. You're taking care of the whole neighborhood, your cousins, everybody. Your social environment is not good. There are bullies. It's unsafe. There's a lot of poverty around you. Teachers are unsafe. Church is unsafe. You can't go to the river by yourself. You can't go to the farm by yourself. I mean, that is a lot of difficult interactions for a child. So it will highly affect how you view yourself and how you view the world. And as long as you're feeling unsafe, because what trauma does, trauma threatens you. It threatens your survival. As long as you're feeling threatened, just know that the relationship you have with yourself is not accurate. It is warped. The relationship you have with the world is warped. And if you don't address those issues as you grow up, you will pass those things to your children. So ensure a safe environment is at home. Ensure that the way you are running life is something that you'd want your children to emulate. How do you deal with your fears? Are you fear-based? Are you shame-based? Because children will learn that. Social learning is a very powerful tool. So sometimes you don't need to tell them things. They will look at you how you run your life. They look at you how you express yourself. Then they'll go like, this one is unsafe. I can't even dare go near her. I saw the way she harassed my brother yesterday for a small thing. What would happen to me if she realized that I'm going through ABCD or I have done ABCD? So if as a parent, you have not dealt with your own traumas, the developmental traumas, the things that have happened to you between the time you became conscious of yourself up to where you are today, because development is across the lifespan, you get different challenges at different spaces. So the challenges you dealt with in your 20s may not be the ones you're dealing with in your 30s, 40s going forward. So if you're not dealing with those issues as they come along, you are going to parent, number one, from a space of fear. And if you are going to parent from a space of fear, I always say fear is a negative energy. It will never bring you positive results. So if you're parenting your children from a space of fear, I don't want them not. I'm so afraid that my son will do drugs. I'm so afraid my daughter will get into premarital sex. I'm so afraid that if you're parenting from that space of fear, wanting to control outcomes, it's going to backfire. And your children wanting to express themselves will be seen as a threat to your identity as a parent. For goodness sake, you are the parent. The children can never be the parent. That is your space at this moment. So you need to be properly grounded as a parent, in your identity as a parent, in your roles as a parent, so that you're able to support your children. But the moment you start to get so threatened, it's good to ask yourself, what within me are these children triggering that is making me so threatened until I am stepping out of my parental roles and my parental obligations? A parent's internal conflict is likely going to be projected onto the children. If you have this chaos within you that you have not addressed, you will project them. And children are easier to project too, because many of us view ourselves as high up there and children down here. So some of us really bully our children. Some of the behavior is really bullying. You will judge them, you shout, you invalidate your daughters, experiences. Why? Because you have so much internal conflict. Internal conflict, lots of it. And you don't know how to let that steam out. So your children, your daughters will keep triggering those experiences. Then guess what? Your relationship between you and them will continue to widen. They will continue to see you as unsafe. You really want to connect, but you're not able to connect with them because you haven't dealt with your own internal conflicts. Now, unfortunately, especially for the younger children, they will interpret that projection of your internal conflict, they interpret it as a reflection of their self-worth. So they'll start going like, my mother screams at me because I'm not lovable. I am not worthy. She didn't want me. Why would she treat me like that if she was my mother and she didn't wanted me? Something is wrong with me. I am defective. I am broken. I am. And a lot of those I ams are going to be negative. And as long as the identity is based on those negative perceptions, they can never be resilient. Then let me look at intergenerational trauma. This is trauma that runs in families. It's passed down from one generation to the next. It is seen in the shared relational patterns. You can look through your cousins, your sister, your mother, your grandmother. You can see those patterns being passed down, your siblings, their habits, their lifestyles, their addictions. Now, if you want to raise resilient daughters, I told you, you must be the cycle breaker. You need to be able to address your own traumas. You need to be able to heal, to connect with yourself so that you're able to forgive the things that happened. You're able to leave them behind, and in their place, you become an emotionally intelligent, emotionally aware parent who is able to raise resilient daughters. Now, why are we revisiting this space? Because unresolved trauma will affect your present, and it will impact your relationship with your child. And why we revisit those experiences of where we came from and the journey of our lives is because you are not able to heal what you are unaware of. So if you can't be aware or bring something to awareness, accord it the necessary attention, that thing that happened to you, accord it the necessary attention, then you can't heal it. Then you will not be able to parent from a space of awareness. And we are not talking about you becoming a perfect parent. There are no perfect individuals in this life. But awareness, the more you expand your awareness, the more you become a safer human. Not just even for your children, even for your partner. If you have a partner, you have a spouse. The more your emotional awareness is expanded, the better a human being you become, the better a co-worker, a sibling you become. So you can't heal what you are not aware of. And healing those things will help you build a stronger connection with your daughter. So that is why we go back there. It's simply to expand our awareness around the issues that could be affecting how we are showing up today as parents, with our children, with our spouses, and with everybody else. So let me look at a few questions in the chat. How to deal with a defensive children? You may want to understand where that defense is coming from. Is there something that is going on in their space that they are not able to express to you, either through words, or is it possible that in the past you have been very judgmental? Because people will not express themselves in a space where they feel judged, or they know their experience will be invalidated. If I come to tell you about my pain and I know you're going to invalidate it, I will not tell you about it. I'll go and talk to Brenda, who I know, even if she doesn't have a solution. And parents, please, let's also be aware that we may not have solutions to all our children's problems. And that is why I tell parents, I think for me, one of the key things that I need to do is to also be able to raise emotionally aware, emotionally intelligent children who are able to deal with their issues. Because you may not be able to solve all those problems. So don't go to those children as if you're trying to solve all their problems. Sometimes you just need to sit, listen to the challenge, listen to what it is that is going in their space, very non-judgmental. If it is not something that you can help them with, look for someone who is able to address that issue, another safe person. But don't invalidate that experience because it has gone beyond the scope of what you are able to handle. So listen, non-judgmentally. Be a safe space. How can you deal with a teenager who can't tell them what is bothering him, no matter how good you try to be? Maybe you may need to take them to somebody else. Because sometimes even the teenager may think you are unsafe, but they don't know why they are not able to open up to you. So why don't you get someone else? If you try to address the matter and you realize that your child is not able to open up to you, raise the conversation around, is there an uncle? Is there an auntie? There's Brenda Karemi. There are many other child psychologists and therapists. A safe space. Put them through a program, a teacher that they're able to open up to. And don't take offense. Don't take it personally. This may be the space where your awareness also expands surrounding the issues that could also be happening within your space that makes you be unsafe for your children. So don't be defensive yourself. Don't take it personally that, oh, my child, I've tried to talk to them, they're not talking to me. Put them through a program, something that helps them also maybe to be able to put whatever is happening to them into words. Because supposing they're not able to put it into words, is there someone who can help them do that? Okay? But don't take it personally. Don't take offense, because if you take offense, you take the matters worse. Open your mind, open your awareness, open your understanding, see whether there is somebody who is able to help that child in the spaces where you can't. How do you deal with rape trauma? Rape trauma is something that I would recommend that you go for therapy. Please go see a trauma therapist, somebody who is able to process, who is able to help you process that experience in a safe space. I don't know whether there is any other question in the comments. Brenda, if there's another question, are you able to see them? That I haven't been able to see. Please.
Yes. There is one from that's asking, how can you deal with a teenager who can't tell what is bothering him, no matter how you try to be good?
And that's the one I've said. Please look for help elsewhere. Look for help elsewhere, because you don't know what is happening in the space of that person or that child. Because what you are saying by trying to be good may actually not be interpreted as goodness by them, depending on how the past has been or whatever issue it is that they are dealing with. So look for help elsewhere. Look for an auntie, if that is what is appropriate, because again, the problem that the child may be dealing with may be so huge that the auntie may not be the best person, especially if the auntie is the kind of a person that is not safe. Ataenda atangaze akisema akiongea. So look for a professional or a teacher or someone in their space that is able to help them put into words whatever it is that could be bothering them. So the fact that you can't have them open up doesn't mean that should be the end of that conversation. I hope I have been able to answer that and answer well. Okay? Because even us as adults, there are people we find difficult to open to. So if a child is not able to open up to you, let not that be the end of that discussion. And don't judge them and don't make them feel guilty. Don't take them on a guilt trip. I'm your mother, so how come you can't talk to me? Don't take them on a guilt trip. All right. So if we have no other question, how many of us would like us to take this conversation about trauma healing a notch higher? I want to know how many people have enjoyed these conversations and would love to hear more of conversations around trauma and parenting. Put a yes for me in the chat as I take some sip of water. Let me see how many have enjoyed this conversation and wouldn't mind having a continuation. Yes, I'm seeing yes. Nimu Gatito is saying yes, yes, yes. Yes, please put the yeses coming, because this is a conversation that is very important for us to be able to expand our awareness, to heal our traumas, so that we are able to parent from a space of health, so that we are able to raise resilient children. So yes, 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 I'm seeing many yeses coming. Eunice Getao, Mary Nyambura, Cecil Rehema, Caroline Orenge, Mari Kanyaru. Thank you so much for those who are saying they would want us to take this conversation a notch higher. Because Coach Brenda and I just thought about the right space for us to be able to do this. So we have designed a workshop called Raising Fearless Daughters Workshop. It's a 3-day program and it focuses on the parent. It's supposed to help you understand trauma and heal from your own traumatic experiences that are holding you back. And within this program, we are going to give you practical tools. We are going to give you a tool to even help you assess your own traumas or the things that you could have gone through to this space that are causing you to be able to parent the way you're parenting. The 3 days workshop will also help you address generational cycles so that you are able to create a safe space for your child. So Coach Brenda and I will be on this program, this 3 days program, I'm sorry. Day 1, we are going to look at how trauma affects your parenting. So we will look at your trauma and parenting style. That will be day 1. So what kind of a parent are you? How is that informed by the experiences that maybe you have gone through and you didn't process well? Day 2 will help you see how trauma shapes your child's identity and self-worth and how this affects how she shows up in the world. So we are going to look at a child's identity and trauma. How does what is happening in their space currently shape their identity? Identity is, who do they think they are? Are they the cat in the mirror or they are the lion in the mirror? How does that get shaped by the experiences they are going through? And how does that affect how she shows up in the world? Because as long as she's showing up as the cat, and to make the matters worse, a cat that has been rained on, then greatness, forget about it. Then on the 3rd day of the workshop, we'll teach you practical tools that will empower you to become a safe space for your daughter. So day 3 will be teaching you how to create safe spaces. How do you become a safe space yourself? Because you could be the highest level of safety for your child. So that when you're thinking about a space, you're not just thinking about the home environment, everything else, the house, the blah, 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 blah. You're thinking about the relationship you have with her. It becomes the greatest asset you have as a parent for you to be able to understand your daughter. So we have organized a 3-day workshop. We'll be running it with Coach Brenda Karemi of Smart Girls. So we want you to become part of this 3-day workshop. The workshop will be running on the 25th to the 27th. It's a Friday to Sunday. It's in the next 2 weeks, 25th to 27th of October. It will be online. It will be starting at 8 p.m. up to 9:30. You only need to make an investment of Kenya shillings 5,000 for you to be able to become a part of this transformative, life-changing workshop. A workshop that will empower you to become the parents that you have desired to become. Now, this workshop is coming with its own bonuses. We are having 3 bonuses. You join this program at Kenya shillings 5,000, and guess what? Your daughter also benefits. So your daughter, because these bonuses are for your child, they are for your daughter. We have bonus 1. Brenda Karemi is running a program called How to Have an Easy Life in Boarding School that is worth Kenya shillings 3,500. You join our parenting workshop, she gets free access to this one. There's a bonus 2 called Raising Fearless Daughters, Healing Connections. It's worth Kenya shillings 5,000. She gets this one too. A third bonus, comprehensive sexual education for teenage girls. Maybe the conversations around sexuality that you've not been able to have. And you know, nowadays we have a lot of issues on sexuality, LGBTQ, etc. So Brenda Karemi has put this up for your girls. It's worth 5,000 Kenya shillings. You join our parenting workshop, your daughter gets this for free. Brenda, maybe you want to tell us something more a little bit about these bonuses, besides what I have said.
Thank you so much, Coach, and for how you've broken it down. I always say that this information is so important to the lives of girls, because having worked with over 10,000 girls in Kenya, I really know how they reason, how they think, and how they interpret. And the reason as to we are giving this bonus, especially, just go back to the previous slide. The reason as to we are giving this bonus, especially bonus number 2, on Raising Fearless Daughters, Healing Connection. This will be like a version for your daughter. All right. It's like now what we are doing for you parents, the 3 days, now that will be a version for your daughter, because we also want them to know what is trauma and how can they overcome, so that when you're doing, they don't interpret your actions. Remember, that's what Ruth said. They interpret your actions like you're attacking them. Well, you also want your children, they feel whenever you do something that is not pleasing to them, they don't take it personally. So we'll talk about trauma we'll talk about emotional intelligence and boundaries. How can they even communicate effectively so that they are able to tell you, okay, mommy, daddy, you have hurt me, I don't like it. And that's the bonus 2 is a complementary bonus for the program that you're running. Bonus 3 is comprehensive sexual education. This is a program we ran last year. And it's because now I know parents talk about LGBTQ. You've told your daughters it is bad, it is wrong. But then do you tell them what to do when they are approached by the LGBTQ community? Do you tell them how to say no to them? All right. We have also had conversation with girls where there are people who go to schools and tell them how they are not girls. Right now, if you have to tell your daughter, like you are Joy and you're a girl, tell her why she's a girl. Give her 5 reasons as to why she's a girl. Because if you won't, then someone else is going to do that. And that is what is covered in bonus 3, comprehensive sexual education. Who are you? The anatomy. Why are you the way you are? What are your physical features? And these are the things that make you a girl. These are the things that make boys, but also when someone approaches you, whether male or female, how do you create your boundaries? How do you communicate? Now, the first bonus on how to have an easy life in boarding school. This program, I will run it in January, and it will be costing 3,500. And parents, I'm giving you this access for free. Because now we are talking about girls, our children are in boarding school. They are facing, bullying. We are hearing cases where your daughter, your child is in school, they are sick and they can't communicate. They are losing clothes, they are losing, friendship, and friendship is very important. And we wanted to we are giving them practical tips. What happens when you're bullied? No, don't go to tell the teacher. Some things are not practical. Yes, there's that point you can have to report, but you can't be reporting everything. How do they build their agency? How do they build their stamina? How do they say no? How do they say no? I'm not giving you my book because I'm using. No, I'm not giving you my sweater because it is cold. Now we want them to have an easy life in boarding school. And parents, what we are saying is that if you're able to get this, and I know Coach Ruth is coming back to give us details, then we're giving you all these bonuses for free. The second and that bonuses are pre-recorded, so we will share a link with you. The first bonus on how to have an easy life in boarding school, it is live. It will be live in January, especially if your daughter is in boarding school. And all these bonuses are totaling to 13,500, and you're giving them access for free after you pay 5,000. And why are we doing that? Because we want you to have a healthy relationship with your daughter. We also want you to be able to separate, the issues that are happening around you. And you are parenting. Everybody wants an easy life. Don't you want an easy life? Everybody wants an easy life, a peaceful home, your daughter to thrive, your son to thrive in, in their spaces. Coach Ruth?
Thank you so much, Brenda. Yeah, so it's quite a packed program. You come for the 3 days workshop, then you get all those programs for your daughter. Those bonuses are worth Kenya shillings 13,500. So you're getting a whole package of almost 20,000 for 5,000 Kenya shillings only. Now, these bonuses are only available, however, if you register for the Fearless Daughters workshop within 48 hours. So if you register for our workshop for the 25th to 27th of October, by Monday, 14th midnight, then you access those bonuses. Unfortunately, if you register after that, those bonuses will have disappeared. So please do haste and register for the workshop, for the 3-day workshop between now and midnight Monday. So what are the benefits? Let me run them through very fast. What are the benefits of coming for the 3 days workshop? 1, to help you understand and heal from your unresolved trauma. Secondly, build a stronger relationship with your daughter. Equip yourself to handle emotional challenges that come with raising daughters. And then there are those 3 bonus programs for your daughter to help her become a resilient young woman. And then we shall have a strong community. We are having a support community of parents like you to help you navigate this generation, because as soon as you make your payment for the 3-day workshop, we are helping you join a community. Coach Brenda and I will be regulating that community. Other parents are in that community, and we shall be supporting each other in this journey of parenting. So those are the 5 benefits that you get by joining our Raising Fearless Daughters workshop. So enroll today. That is the payment pay bill details. So if you want to become part of that program, please make your payment through pay bill number 254254, account number 0733 17990. It is on your screen. You can take it down. You can note it down. So make your payment through that number. Reserve your space. Come. Let's learn how to parent together. Remember that there is a limited offer for bonuses, that if you secure your spot within the next 48 hours, you'll be able to grab those 3 bonuses for your daughter for free. So Coach Brenda and I are really excited. We are looking forward to seeing you on the other side. We will learn so much about trauma. All those questions you're having about trauma, how do I address trauma? Could this have been traumatic for me? Is it possible that it is making me project onto my children? Because remember, we have talked about projection. Is it possible that it's making me project on my child? Then we'll address a few questions about your children's behavior and what you can do about it. So if you want to have all that support and such an interactive forum, please make your payment for the Raising Fearless Daughters workshop. I don't know whether we have any question up to that point concerning the workshop especially. Do we have any questions? Is it possible, if possible, somebody is saying, Caroline is asking, if possible, share the dates for the bonuses. Holiday is approaching, they may go up country. Brenda, tell us more about the bonuses. Yes.
Now, the bonuses, the second and third bonuses are pre-recorded. These are classes that we have held already, we recorded. And so what will happen is that we will share the link so that when they come, before they travel up country, they will be able to access the recording. All right. Now, for An Easy Life in Boarding School, it will happen just 3 days before they go back to school. That means it's January. They'll be around and you will be with them. And I will be sharing the dates for how to have an easy life in boarding school. I've realized we missed something, Coach Ruth. On account number is 999. It's 999. Please, parents, note that. And we'll celebrate anyone who makes a payment right now, because we can be able to see. So if you're willing to grab this, there are chances, parents, that you'll forget. You know for sure right now that you want this program, you want all the bonuses. But there's always something that says, oh, just hold on, you'll pay later. If you know that for real you need this program, make the payment now. We'll be able to see, we'll celebrate you here. We will, clap for you here, and that will be gone. And then what happens once you pay, you send us the payment confirmation message, and we add you in a paid up WhatsApp group. So once we add you, it is not closed like the others. It's not closed, it's open. And that's what Coach Ruth was saying, that you'll get access. You can ask us questions, we can discuss, and it is not as closed as this one. So the pay bill number is 254, and the account number is 0733 179 990. So there is an extra 9 on that. And we want you, parents, we want you to take these bonuses, because why not? If you're really planning to pay the 5,000, why not take the entire package worth 13,000? 13,500. If you're really planning to take, take this program, do it now so that you can access the bonuses. I will be sharing the bonuses real time. Once you send, you'll be able to receive the bonuses, so that even yourself, you can have a feel, you can go through the programs. I mean, when you're going to work or relaxing, so that you get to hear what is your daughter, what will they be taught in the free bonuses. Let me see if there is any question. Dee is asking, I want to understand what trauma brings the avoidance style instead of facing the problem. This one, I'm sure we are going to cover it in the class for sure, because it is deep. It is not as, to address it is not that easy, like it's on the face value. It's deep. It's question that requires a lot of, clarification and, trying to demystify the entire question. Is there any other person with a question? There's another. Faith is asking, how do you deal with an extremely extroverted child, yet as a parent, you are an introvert? You don't want to dim their light, but you're not sure of what to do. Okay, I love asking parents question when they ask a question. I'm asking, is there a problem you being an introvert? Why do you want her? Why is it a problem him being an extrovert? What is in extroversion that you don't like about him? But why do you want him to change his personality? Why do you want him to turn from being because you're clearly trying to compare? And I think that is Coach Ruth. You're trying to compare. I'm an introvert. It's like, why do I have an extrovert child? And I'm asking, why do you want the child to be an introvert? Coach Ruth, what do you
Let me
think?
first of all say that one of the worst assumptions you can make as a parent is that your children will be like you. Your children may be nothing like you. So, because I was seeing people who struggle, like, my children don't look like me, or they don't look. Your children may be nothing like you. You may have no idea what your children are becoming. You have no control over what your children will become. Your role as a parent is to guide the child to become who God has created them to be. And I also bring in the question that Brenda has asked you. What is it about extraversion that makes you uncomfortable? Or what is it about extraversion that challenges you? Because that could be where the trick is. What is it about that child's extraversion that is really challenging you? Are they triggering something within you? Do you find it hard to keep up with them? Do you feel like your role as a parent with an extroverted child, you're not able to perform your duties and roles as a parent to that child? So those are the questions you want to ask yourself. But there is nothing wrong with being an extrovert. There's nothing wrong with being an introvert. Actually, do not try to change your child to fit in to wherever you want them to fit in. That's not right. It's not your role. It's not your responsibility. Your role is to raise and guide the child that God has given you. The extrovert, the introvert. And Winnie has recommended a book for Faith here. She has said there's a book entitled The Introvert Advantage. So I'm hoping it's a book that helps you, if you're introverted, to embrace your introversion. If you're extroverted, to embrace your extroversion. There's nothing wrong with being an introvert. There is nothing wrong with being an extrovert. We are different like that. Thank you so much, Brenda. And someone has said you put the account in the wall.
Thank you. Yes, we are going to share this on our WhatsApp group, so that it can stay there. You are able to access all the bonuses. And someone has said, can we extend? Unfortunately, we may not be able to extend the bonus. Otherwise, it will beat the logic. And so try your best to pay in 48 hours. In 48 hours, that means that is on Monday. That will be the deadline. Try your best. But if you're not able to beat to beat the deadlines, or or to get the bonus, it's still fine. The program itself will be a 3-day, and it will be so packed with so much information that you are going to get so much value. Mercy is asking, would you consider a little good discount, since we also want the career mentorship for the girls? I know the amount is worth it, but it is worth it. Each program has its own value, packed. And in our programs, we don't give these discounts. We give bonuses, because we don't want you to look at it. It's a lot. This is a lot of money that we are giving. We want you to see the value in it, because also we have really prepared for you, for this program, and you're going to get value. Work hard, or try your best to get as much value from the bonuses as you can. That is how you're going to, to feel, oh, okay, getting paid for one program, but getting extra 3 out of it, then it's such a good deal. So we are assuring that you're going to get value out of this. We are going to support you. You'll have access to us, directly. You can call us, and, share what is happening, so that we can even customize it, for you, the program for you. You get as much value as possible. So if there is no other question, we would like to end this webinar at at this point, and we are looking forward to seeing you at the workshop in 2 weeks time. It will be fun. There will be a lot of healing that will be happening, and for me as a girls coach, when I see parents signing up for this program, it's a win, because I know the lives of those girls will never remain the same. There's no parent who has ever joined this webinar, this program, and their lives remain the same, and their girls' life remain the same. You become a better safe space for your daughter. And sometimes, like there's a parent I was talking to with this week, and she was telling me, oh, she wants their daughter to go for therapy, and the reason why she was giving was actually, I was telling her, you know what? Come and join us for this healing webinar. You may realize your daughter actually doesn't need a therapist. You are enough, and you're going to support her to be the person that God intended her to be. Okay. Yeah. So we want you to be very confident about it. We want to empower you so that you can take charge. This is your daughter, and you need to empower her, and she will have you. Myself and Coach Ruth will come and go, but we will be there with her. You understand her better, you know her better. All right. What happens if one is not able to make it the days of the workshop? We have a pre-recording. We record these sessions in case, because we understand that sometimes lights can go off, connectivity, you can drop for one reason or another. We share it with our community. By any chance, if you're not able to make it, we share at the same value. All right. So I want to say a big thank you for everybody who has stand up. I hope you've got value, and you are going to, there is one or two elements that you have got that are going to help you in your parenting, or rather even to see things differently, so that you become, even you enjoy parenting. It doesn't have to be a hassle. It doesn't have to be, you are sweating, you're frustrated, you are worried about your daughter. Every time you're worried, is she making the right decision? And it's not because she's doing anything, but it's because of our traumatic experiences when we were growing up. So we also want to parent from a safe space where you are okay, you are at peace, and that is where we want you parents to be. So see you in the webinar, in 2 weeks time, and we're so excited to have you for the 3 days. Thank you very much, and have a good night. If you have a question, please drop it. We can still answer. We can still answer it in our WhatsApp community. Otherwise, good night and bye bye.
Bye bye. See you in the workshop.